Hello, mathematicians. I want to take a brief moment here to talk about explicit formulas with sequences. So let's recall that a sequence is just an ordered collection of numbers, something like this. We could say something like 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on, right? This is just the odd numbers. This is our sequence of all the odd numbers. And we can recall that we can show a sequence by saying a sub n. Remember, this is just some element in the sequence at position n, and it's going to be some function of n. Now, we don't know exactly what that function of n is going to look like yet, but we know it's going to be something. It's just an explicit formula for this. And it turns out we actually do know the explicit formula for this because we know this is a sequence of all the odd numbers. And the formula for an odd number is just going to be 2 times some number plus 1. That is our definition of an odd number. And we can start to test this out and see that this works. Let's try a sub 0. Well, that's going to be 2 times 0 plus 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And that's is the 0th element in our sequence. That's the first one. Let's try the next one. A sub 1. That'll be 2 times 1 plus 1. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Let's keep going. A sub 2. That's going to be 2 times 2 plus 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. We can see this is following along with our sequence, and we can just keep going and going and going with this, but I think this is enough to kind of show roughly how the sequence works. Now, let's try one other. But this time, we're going to start with the explicit formula and then try to figure out what the sequence is. So this time, let's going to say that a sub n, which remember just an element in our sequence at position n, is going to be, let's do something tricky. Let's do 3 times n minus 2. And there's nothing special about that formula. I just happened to pick one for this example. Well, let's start plugging in some numbers and see if we can build up our sequence and get that pattern going. We have a sub 0 be 3 times 0 minus 2. Well, 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So our sequence starts at negative 2. Let's try again. Let's try a sub 1 this time. This is going to be 3 times 1 minus 2. 3 times 1 is 3, minus 2 is 1. Let's keep going. We have 2. 3 times 2 minus 2 is 6 minus 2, and that's just 4. So we can see our sequence starts off as negative 2, 1, and 4. And each time I add a number here next to a, our little sub here, so here's a sub 3, I'm just plugging in that 3 right there for n. So we have 3 times 3 minus 2. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. So our sequence starts with negative 2, 1, 4, 7, and so on. So I hope you learned a little bit about how to do explicit formulas for sequences. If you have any questions, please send me an email. I'm more than happy to explain in further detail in a more one-on-one sort of setting. Thank you.